Hello everyone and welcome to another and very delayed episode of the Bot Gauntlet tournament. Last we left off, it was a double elimination, I believe. I can't remember how it happened, but it was Cheezerg and MFBS. I think MFBS kind of won and then glitched out and then ends up being a draw. So yeah, back to it. We're kind of getting into the good bots now, so it's a shame there was such a delay between these episodes. But I guess the good news is it's taking me so long to get this complete that by the time I complete it, we'll be ready for another Gauntlet tournament with the end of the next ladder season coming in October. So yeah, coming up right now, we're going to have Tier P, the number 19 bot, although he has won tournaments before, so he saves the good stuff for the tournaments and a little underperforms on the ladder because he wants to keep that stuff secret. Meanwhile, we have Dan the Man 3 as the challenger, who is the best bot out of Dan the Man. Actually, in this ladder season, his best bot, although I think he has an even newer bot written in Go for next season we'll take a look at. But I think he's a fan of the Cyclones. Not sure if he uses them in TVP. We'll find out. Which will be this matchup, Terran versus Protoss. Tier P, you can see some notable achievements here. It looks like he has over 80 strategies for Protoss, 120 in total. Not sure how many of those are active or useful, but it is cool that he's actually written that many. And you can see he's won some tournaments. Yeah, for big one being Probots 2020 Season 1, finishing first place. And 2021 season finishing first place. So winning two of the most recent Probots. I think the author tier actually dates back all the way to not just the beginning of the Starcraft 2 AI scene, but even back to the Brood War AI scene, which is still actually going just as healthy as Starcraft 2, maybe even healthier. I think there was a video of Artosis actually playing some of the top Brood War AI bots, so that might be interesting to find and watch. Anyways, I digress. Oh yeah, and he even won the first Gauntlet series. I forgot about that. On my channel at least. And we even put him up against Micro Machine at the end. He was able to defeat the undefeatable Micro Machine. Yep, so he'll be the Protoss opponent written in C#. There is a really nice C# framework now. It's probably the second easiest one to get started on after Python, called the Sharky framework, but Tier I don't believe uses that, so he uses some variation of his own or variation of something else. Basically he's using something of his own for C#, but yeah. Anyways, next will be Dan the Man 3, and he's written this bot in Python. So I'm gonna go ahead, I should have preloaded the replay. That would have made a lot of sense, wouldn't it? But yeah, as we launch that up, we can take a quick look back at the ladder here. So again, moving all the way up to number 1, and we're on number 19 versus number 18. Dan the Man was just 30 points ahead of Tier on the ladder. Next up will be Creep Mind. Okay, let me switch views over here. Ooh, and we'll pause because it's not popping up for me here. There she is. Okay, production tab's up and let's get going. Spawning in the top right, we have challenger number 1. It's the Red Terran at Dan the Man 3. And since there is no returning champ from the previous match, we have challenger number 2. It is the blue Protoss. It is Tier P, with the P standing for Protoss. Which is the best tier that exists, although there's a tier T and a tier Z, and there's also just a tier which plays random. So yeah, I think we saw in the notes there, he said he had 80 Protoss strategies and 120 total. So that means he has 40 strategies that spans Terran and Zerg. I love music here. So these units will be passing each other in the night. Barracks going up for Dan the Man. Actually, you know what? Let's cut that music. I can't tell if it's too loud or not. It's a little loud for me. So if you guys can't hear me over it, then yeah, I don't want to go back and re-record all this. So we'll play it safe and we'll just keep the sound effects. So getting a nice little scout here. It does see that the one gas is taken. Barracks leaving space for the add-on. Meanwhile, on the other side of the map, we do have Tyr on one gas of his own. Skipping the Zealot, and appears like he'll be going out actually into a gateway expand. Cybercore should be following up sooner or later. Orbital going down for the Terran, and one Reaper on the way. Looks like these scouts are both going to be heading home. Gotten pretty good information. Another scout is actually out for Tyr looking for proxies. And there is that Cybercore. It does mean the Tyr's pooling a lot of early gas. Haven't taken that gas. Normally if you're doing a gateway expand, you go gateway Nexus Cybercore, then take your gas. Usually the sign of an early gas means you want to get some early tech, but that wasn't the case here. So when you put those two together, it means there's going to be a gas bank of sorts. Which can be good though, if you're trying to pump out robo units really quickly, or want to get some early sentries perhaps. Or do some sort of Dark Templar shenanigans. All those things will make a nice use of an early gas bank. Second gateway going down after the factory. Or second barracks, I should say. Expansion almost done for Dan the Man himself. Reaper has arrived and picks off a quick probe kill there. Stalker has arrived. And we'll be able to force that Reaper to retreat right before it got a nice second kill. I think he was one shot away from killing that probe. Nice save by the Stalker there. And there is the Robo Facility. So I did pull these replays a long time ago, back when I was originally recording these videos. So this is a little bit out of date, but I know Tyr's TVP on the ladder nowadays is quite strong. He really tries to like stay back, get up to his 3-4 bases, get out a nice robotics fleet of a lot of immortals, and then make this giant like near maxed push that is really, really hard to hold. He walks through many Terrans, including myself and Micro Machine, and yeah, there's no Terran he's not capable of beating with this. It won't always win, but it's capable of winning. So that is a little scary. Meanwhile, it looks like Dan the Man is let's see, there's a tech lab on the factory. Nothing being produced from it yet though. So just some Marines and Marauders. If we bring up the upgrades, you can see there's no upgrades done for Dan the Man either, so a little strange. I mean, you guys +1 on the way, but early tech lab not getting any bio upgrades, even though you're pumping all this bio. It could be a resourcing matter. Sometimes you just prioritize things and you never actually get the full amount of resource to start, say, stim, if that's what he's trying to go for, because the minerals never get high enough. It can be hard to code that correctly, where you're getting the things you need, but also trying to save up for things you require. And, you know, there's many scenarios where you want to be getting bio and skipping the upgrades, like if you're getting all in, for instance. And there we finally have an upgrade on the way, and it was stim, and I bet that was being saved up for a long time there. Siege tank is on the way as well. As is the starport. Meanwhile, a third base has finished for Tyr, so Tyr is in really good shape here. A handful of stalkers and an immortal means he could be vulnerable to a push, as this is a good amount of bio with siege tanks, but then this is going to be bio without, you know, without stim or combat shields, so I don't think an early push will be that successful for Dan the Man. So if you can't push successfully and you're up against a much stronger economy in Tyr, this is going to not work out well, I don't think, for Dan the Man. I think if Dan pushes when the stim is done and then takes a really good fight, then perhaps he can you know, he can bring this game back to even. Or if Tyr does something silly like pushes into Dan the Man, I could see that working out well as well. Meanwhile, 4th pace going down for Tyr now. Charge is complete, and another Immortal on the field. +1 has started. +1 weapons, that is. Completed upgrades. Yeah, just charge and warp gate. There is a +1 advantage for Terran, so that's not nothing. And a little Marauder tank hit squad, leaving all the Marines at home. That can't be right. Oh, this will be interesting. Okay, looks like the Probes are abandoning the base. Maybe they're coming back to fight, I'm not quite sure. And these charge slots just have an easy cleanup, as Marauders and Siege Tanks are both pretty terrible versus charge lots. You really need the Marines to gun down the charge lots quickly. Looks like the Marines were being used for a drop, which would have been nice if they were kind of landing at the base at that same time. Almost guaranteeing that one would get some work done. He is coming in. If he gets a bunch of workers, that'll be nice. If he gets the forge, that'll be nice, because that'd be like perfect timing to make that upgrade not complete. There goes around 3 workers. Stalkers have arrived. A little bit of kiting here. Might be able to pick off 1 stalker, but yeah, it looks like a... Yeah, these simulators soaked up so much of those shots that... Yeah, just got a little bit of hull damage on 1 stalker for 8 Marines. Now, he did get 3 workers beforehand, which is nice, but again, worker count is +9 for Tyr, which is actually quite even. The problem is I don't think Dan the Man's workers are... I take it back. He does have a 3rd base. Yes, they're all active. Yeah, so the economies are actually quite even. If we bring up the income tab, you can see, yeah, that looks about the same. And in fact, at this moment, Dan actually has the advantage because of the way mules work. They definitely make up the difference of 5 workers. He's got to get down some of these immortals. 1 goes down, 2, 3. Okay, he did get 3 immortals. So this attack is not a total loss. Kiting some zealots here. Oh, there's 1 immortal. There it goes. It's a nice focus fire out down the man. He's able to recognize the low hit point units and gun them down. And I think he took out 4 or 5 immortals. Which, so despite losing the fight, which I think Dan the Man did there, resetting the immortal count gives him a fighting chance going forward. Let's bring the production tab back up, and you can see we have 2-2 on the way. In fact, I think one of them just completed. Ship plating is an odd choice. I guess, you know, it helps the medevacs a little and the tanks a little bit, but it's a weird one. Total upgrades, 1-1 combat shield. Okay, we got all the bio upgrades, which is nice. Gains +1 with charge and blink. 2-2 on the way. And 2-1 on the way for Protoss, which is actually just about kind of complete. I think I missed an entire fight, so we'll back up a touch here. Yeah, it's a tiny little hit squad here. I mean, it will cancel the 5th, I assume. Yeah, it does. But again, all the Marines being left behind. Yeah. A little odd. But again, canceling or possibly killing the Nexus. I assume it was a cancel because bots are pretty good at canceling. Not the worst thing to trade out a tank and some Marauders for, but I'm worried that the army size is getting way out of hand, and yes it is. So 6,500 value army versus a 3,000, almost a double the army value. And this is what I said about what makes Tyr so strong, is he kind of just macros up, sits back, absorbs the attacks to the point where it pushes out is just overwhelming in its size. And speak of the push out, it looks like it's happening now. 180 supply. moving across the field. Now we do have a presage tank in this area, which is nice. 2 presage tanks actually, and a ghost. Huh, ghost is interesting. Oh no 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 no! Bad timing. Oh, he's actually okay. I don't know what's happening. If he tacked into the presage tanks, maybe it'd be close. Okay, gets a nice little kill reinforcement line there. Bio is attacking without the tanks. We do have a couple EMPs on the Protoss there. 30 EMP didn't hit much except for units that already were out of shields. Now, there are no zealots, so the siege tanks will do okay. But there's also no bio left. Yeah, overwhelming army supply. 6,000 to 1,000. This is not the time to be making ghosts. Ghosts are very expensive and don't do much. They're a really good supplement when you have a large army, but when you don't have a large army, you really would prefer to get just Marines and Marauders. Of course, if you can somehow survive, it's nice to get the ghost count up, and I think he will. Can he even? Oh, he doesn't have stim left because there's it's only got 3 hit points. I think as soon as he goes up this ramp and loses sight of it, he might turn around. No, he's still chasing it down. Immortal is actually recharging quite a bit of shields now. It may even have barrier available. It does. So, for having a sliver of health, this is actually quite a healthy Immortal. Nice EMP hitting all the zealots, but again, nothing to actually kill the zealots. So nothing's really changed. Still an overwhelming army size lead for Tier, but didn't really deny much in the way of bases. He denied this one going up, but still a super healthy economy out of Dan the Man. Which means he can rebuild, if given the time. Units lost is very even, because he was able to get those chunky units like Immortals. So everything, you know, except for army size, other than that, it's looking quite good. I'm not sure if Tier transitions into Tempests or not. Tempests are obviously an extremely strong late game unit. But I feel this build out of Tier is all about like just powering through with Mass Immortal because it does so well versus so many different Terrans. Especially if it absorbed all the little... Oh man, they're both moving out at the same time again. Okay, high ground here. The tanks will get sieged up. Let's see how the EMPs look. One was not so good. Tier pulling back away from the siege tanks. Tanks not involved in the fight at all, but still it's a good amount of bio, and bio is very strong versus Immortals, which this army is all based on. A lot of Terran bots play mech because, you know, it's just mech takes advantage of a lot of the things the bots can do, like kiting with cyclones and you know, burrowing and unburrowing with widow mines, which makes Immortals super strong. But if you play bio, then all of a sudden those Immortals aren't that great anymore. You really want the Disruptors or the Colossus. You need that splash damage to challenge. Yeah, those EMPs unfortunately are shooting at like the 1 or 2 Zealots to charge in first, so it's not getting the best surface area. With that said though, EMPing Zealots is more important than EMPing the rest of the army. Because the rest of the army is super easy to kill once the Zealot meat shields are gone. So I'd rather take like 100 shields off the Zealots than 300 shields off the rest. Because either way you gotta kill the Zealots first. This army's looking quite unbeatable. Immortals coming in one at a time, which is kind of a joke for Marines with this many upgrades. Pushing through yet another base. I'm hearing a lot of stimming going on, but this is not a human that's stimming everything at once. I think it's individual units that are stimming here and there. So it's not like he's getting over-stimmed too much. The medevacs are all dried out except for the new one. But at the same time, it's not like these units are sitting in the red or anything. Looks like Dan the Man is going straight for the kill, going right up the guts. That does mean these 2 extra expansions are going to be able to continue mining and providing resources. But if Dan the Man can get on top of the production, this is over. And in fact, bringing up the army size here, it is 250 against 8,500. Yeah, that's a 30 times army size lead. And here we go, probes are being pulled. Did not quite have enough probes to do it, just needed about 6-7 million more. These Marines are actually not shooting very much. Okay, there we go. It's okay to always be moving between your shots, but he wasn't even shooting, so. 2 more pylons and this is going to cut off a lot of production here. Looks like these siege tanks are even drawing all the probes out of this base. That means there's actually only 1 base of mining remains. And I think at this point I'm going to go ahead and speed this up, as this looks more or less over. So, great game to start off this series yet again. 2 really solid macro bots and a nice little, what I would call a comeback actually, as Tier was so far ahead in army size for such a long time. So GG coming out of Tier and out of me. Well done, Dan the Man, and you will be moving on to the next match. So let's switch it back to, nope, not that one, this one. Here we go. So Dan the Man 3 will move on. And we'll be facing Creepmind, one of our newer Zerg bots. Only one of 2 bots that qualified for the last pro bots, one being the ever dangerous Eris, the rebuild of Spiny, and Creepmind, made by Ammo. We do have some new bots for next season that are looking pretty strong in the Zerg front, Zoe being one of them. But let's take a look at what's going on with Creepmind here. So Creepmind is written by Ammo. It's written in Python. It runs on the Sharpie S02 framework. Yeah, Python is definitely the best one to start with in terms of ease of use, and then Sharpie does a lot of the heavy lifting for you. Combine those together, you can get a bot going quite quickly. The only downside to Python is its performance is not great, but since they upgraded from 3.7 to 3.9, all of a sudden the Python bots got a lot faster. So its one major disadvantage isn't that much of a disadvantage anymore. It uses information from matchup, match history, and scouting to choose a build order. Yeah, so, you know, it keeps track of how it did versus this opponent in the past, or maybe just how it does in a certain matchup in the past, and then chooses build orders based off of that. And then also does some scouting within the game and maybe adjust the build order. Not sure. Big shout out to Imphy for his tools and knowledge. Imphy is the author of the Sharpie SC2 framework. Shout out to Laddie, Paul, Soupcatcher, and Big Rasper for sharing their code. Work in progress. All right, awesome. So let's check out this new Zerg bot as he faces Dan the Man 3. Let me get this loaded up because I didn't do it in advance. So TVZ, which will be interesting. I always get Dan the Man and Spud mix up. They're like 2 Terran bots that are always around the same level and always play a somewhat similar playstyle. So I'm envisioning Spud, I believe, in TVZ, but I'm not actually sure if Dan the Man plays the same way. Let me get that closed and this open and switch the scene. Come on, come on, you can do it. There we go. And let's hop right into it. So our returning champ on a 1-game win streak, it is Dan the Man 3, the best of the Dan the Mans. Facing the new opponent, it is the Blue Zerg, it is Creepmind. Let's see what he said here. Last game result, I lost using Burrowed Rush. Burrowed Rush probably. This game I'll be using build Creep Defender Macro. Good luck, have fun. Creep Defender Macro. Those are 3 words you can put together. Maybe it tries to macro up, spread the creep, and defend any sort of incoming attacks. Maybe a similar strategy used that Tier used in the previous game. Just try to get massive, and then push out. Spawning pool is going down, however. But that's not an aggressive timing. It is before hatchery. But this is still kind of like a macro timing. Meanwhile, on the other side of the map, it looks like a similar build order out down the man, if not exactly the same. As it is, what is it, gas into barracks? Or barracks into gas? I can't even tell. Barracks into gas, probably. Oh, I take it back. We have a proxy barracks going up across the map. So this time, down the man's going to be on the aggression. Maybe he even tried this against Tier and he got caught by that scout probe. I am not the best observer, so I do miss things on the minimap. In fact, even when I play the game, I miss a lot of things on the minimap. Hatchery is down, but I don't think he's going to get, like, creep on the low ground in time. So there'll be time for, like, a bunker to get us set up here, perhaps. Or, you know, if he does build spines, he'll probably have to build them on the high ground. He won't be able to build them on the low ground to defend. Tech Lab going down. Is this going to be a Marauder rush of some sort? Oh. Uh-oh. Okay, defending an attack will be difficult if you lose an Overlord. There's no Overlord in the production tab. Will this Marine be able to secure the kill? He does have high ground vision, so going on the high ground will not save this Overlord. And boom, that is a supply cap. Supply block, I mean. At 23. Meanwhile, on the other side of the map, we do have Marauders. I mean, if you're facing that Roach Rush that it appeared Creep Mine lost with last game, the Broad Roach Rush, I could see Marauders working out well. We do have 2 Marines heading across the map. Yeah, I guess it's just some sort of weird bio push where it's going to be a Marauder heavy with some Marines attack. A super late proxy coming out of this SCV here. Will definitely deny the third though. There's only 1 queen there, and no queen you don't want to go try it, and it's going to go try. Okay, change his mind. Nice little cancel. Even able to save the drone. Yes, he is. But another Overlord going down. Oh, this is tough. Possibly 2 Overlords going down even. Oh boy. Kind of a difficult vision area here for down the man. He's having to run really close to get these attacks off. Which means those riders are shooting super slow. Because every time they go to shoot, they're like, oh, we can't, so we need to run up this ramp again. Focusing down the weak Marauder, that puts 1 Marauder less. But there goes the 2nd queen. 3rd queen will go down quickly. Yeah, it's not looking good. Pulling the workers. Nice timing to pull the workers with the Lings. However, he did not commit, and the workers went back. That might have been the one way to get out of this. And unfortunately, yeah, now pulling the workers. Too late now. All the Lings and queens are gone. This is one of the difficult things to code, which is why I'd suggest new authors do not ever pull their workers, because it's almost always a bad thing to pull your workers unless you identify that it's just the right scenario to do so, and you got to send it with your army. And almost, if you don't do that exactly, it's almost always a bad idea. Rather just keep it mining, you know, give yourself some more resources and a chance to produce your way out of the threat. Okay, well these Marauders are getting pulled apart by these Speedlings. They don't have Concussive Shell either, which would actually make them quite good versus even Speedlings. And the Marauder going down. I mean, there's a chance that ammo, that's creep mine gets us under control, but here's the thing, it's not actually an all-in anymore. We do have a second mining base out of Dan the Man, and the worker count is actually 6 ahead of creep mine. So, yeah, survival is not enough. Now, Dan the Man is pulling back. I mean, if he just decides to like go home and stop attacking for 10 minutes, then maybe this will just reset into a brand new game. But he does have a massive army lead. Here comes the drones out of creep mine, but he has no idea if there's an attack coming or not. Oh, actually, good amount of links. It's not going to be enough, though. Yeah. And with that kiting out of the Bioforce. It predicts us against 15 supply of army. Yeah, that's not a good prediction. You're up against about 35 supply of army. Maybe even 40. Breaking the action here, but I'm just kind of a little interested in what is going on here. Who is queuing up? That's interesting. So the Marines that are outside of range are given a queued attack command. And then I guess if their weapon's on cooldown, then it gets overwritten with running away. So this is a nice way to, you know, not give this Marine a new command until it actually uses its attack command. I was just wondering what all these lines are I'm seeing. You see all these lines going back and forth. I haven't seen any bot micro that involves queuing commands, because really there's no reason for a bot to queue anything. You know, your logic can handle the queuing for you. I'm going to go ahead and speed this one up, as it appears this is more or less over. Second base has gone down. Good amount of links in the main base will give a nice little final attack, but look at that cute little kite backwards out of the bio. Yeah, there's two major difficulties for Zerg, which is why I believe Zerg is the toughest bot to create. The first obstacle is that it's hard to know when to drone and when not to, and how to survive all these different all-ins, especially as your units can be kited so well by bots. And then, you know, that we've seen that here from Creep Mind, right? You know, he was going into his macro build, and all of a sudden an army arrived that he couldn't handle well. The other issue is the Zerg late game. You know, if you think of how Sero plays ultra late game, right? It involves like some tricky abduct micro, and involves a lot of spellcasters and spore farms and stuff like that. Things that aren't just like basic attacking micro that bots that can do well. So, but Zerg is powerhouse in the mid game. You know, the fact that they can inject perfectly, spread creep perfectly, and then you just kind of make a composition that works well, like Roach Hydra, Ravager, Roach Hydra Bane. You know, that kind of mid-game composition. That's where the power is in the Zerg composition. With that said, however, Eris is currently, at this moment on the current ladder, is the #1 bot on the ladder. And I think a lot of that has to do with how he's done a very good job coding the late game. So next up is going to be Prism Beams. Prism Beams had a nice little run in Probots, doing some beams out of him. He is a proxy Void Ray bot, because it's not just human meta for that stuff. So let's go take a look, see if we got any information here. It is built by Chaox, and in Python. We don't know much else. Hasn't been updated in a little while, but it's still a somewhat new bot. Let's go. Yeah. So we are ready to go. Let me just switch frames here. Bring up the production tab, wait for it to load over here. There we go, and let's hop into it. So Dan the Man 3 will be the red Terran spawning the bottom left, going for the hat trick, the 3 wins in a row. Meanwhile, spawning in the top right, we have the tricky Prism Beams, who took out additional pylons in the Probots tournament, who is a very powerful Protoss. So that was quite surprising at the time. No, I take it back. I'm wrong about that. Anyways, if you guys haven't seen that, it's on the ES Champ channel, and I'll stop spoiling. But what I said was wrong anyway, so it's not even a spoiler. They may not have even played each other. Anyways, gateway followed by a gas, and it looks like the probe is going across the map, and two guesses why. Meanwhile, Dan the Man is doing some scouting of his own, so we'll get to see how much information he absorbs with this SCV scout, because it will arrive, it'll see a second gas, it'll see a missing pylon. Can Dan the Man interpret what that means, or is he just looking for Stargate equals air, expansion equals macro, right? Although even the lack of a nexus could be enough information to create the deviation he requires in his build. There is the proxy pylon. Nice little position there. Not a little bit closer would be nice. It'd be nice if we could fit like batteries in these positions. Won't be close enough for that. But he does have all this area to put down batteries or even cannons. Is he doing that? No, just batteries. Cyber core is on the way. A lot of gas missing. That's another thing the bot can check. It can see how much gas is missing from these assimilators. I think that's something that it would take someone knowledgeable of StarCraft 2 and knowledgeable in coding to do well at. And a lot of our authors actually don't play a lot of StarCraft 2. We do have a couple of GM players that exist, but yeah, I think a lot of people, they dabbled in StarCraft when it was as most popular, back in Wings of Liberty, and haven't really played much since, but are still active in the bot scene. Factory is on the way, and if it's anything like the game versus tier, we should be seeing a second barracks coming up soon. A large marine count can deal with this, but Stargate is almost ready to complete. One shield battery is done. Scout has returned home. Expansion on the way. Keeping one stalker at home, that's a nice way to deal with any sort of Reaper that might be going across the map. But no Reapers out down the man, which is actually a good thing. Reapers are not what you want if you're facing Proxy Void Ray. It's actually better to go straight into Marine, or even better, straight into Reactor. However, those Marines are going on a little bit of a trek. Nope, they're just defending the front and getting messed up by these rocks. However, with the Void Ray in this base, he will be pulling back. Void Ray picking off a couple SCVs as well as that Marine. And he's not able to get a second Marine, so that's good for Dan the Man, but I'm a little bit worried. Shields are regened and coming back in. Siege tank on the way will not be helpful either. Only one Marine at a time being built. Doesn't look like there was ever a second barracks created, which is worrisome. So I guess that SCV scout did not do much, because he's actually building less early defense than he could have had. Compared to the macro game he plays versus Tier P. Yeah, so interesting. I wonder what the scout actually looks for. Probably just the stuff it looks for at any point in the game, If you see a Dark Templar archive, then you build protection. If you see Stargate, you build missile turrets, that sort of idea, I guess. Now, at least the siege tanks aren't going to be able to siege from the other side, so they're not doing nothing. But, yeah, this game's over. So let's go ahead and speed it up. As long as Prism Beams doesn't break or do something silly, he should be able to go through the cleanup situation here. Did depower, and he's wasting a lot of money trying to repower it, so the Stargate is gone. That's not coming back. Does it matter? I would say no. These siege tanks will push across the map, making a bit of a base trade. You know, there's only a single stalker over here with a single shield battery. And actually drawing... No? Yeah, drawing the... What? Okay. If he gets indecisive... yeah, he did not stick around to let the last structure die. Looks like Dan the Man actually concedes, pulls out of the game, and GG to Prism Beams. So nice little run out of Dan the Man there, makes it to his third game. Loses on the third game, but a good run nonetheless. And we can switch back to this view. So next up is going to be BenBot BC. Third place finisher in the recent ProBots. Long time bot that's been around for a while and has been, you know, in the upper end for all that time. Definitely predates my bot. Was actually my favorite bot when I first joined the scene. I liked how BenBot BC, the build kind of made sense. It could handle the all-ins, which is really important in the meta. It had a build that worked versus all three races, so a nice way to keep your bot super generic. And it had a nice win condition, which is obviously the BCs, you know. But it's evolved since then, and now is a more complex macro bot. A little less on the BC focus. Yeah, let's see if there's any information here. So achievements, yeah. So in 2020, season of 2020, he finished third place. Did not expect that at all. I actually expected him to win the whole thing because the final three was myself, BenBot BC, and Spiny. And he'd already defeated Spiny in a previous round, and neither of those bots had a chance to update since then. So one would think it would continue on to beat Spiny. And he did something, he did like this bunker contain that I did not expect, or that I didn't plan for, because I never thought BenBot BC would get this far. But then when I checked the ladder, I'm like, I always lose to this bunker contain. So I actually think he was the favorite to win, but I got lucky against him. And broke out of the bunker contain somehow, even though it wasn't happening on ladder. I still don't understand why. And then Spiny, despite being behind and there being extended series involved, Spiny was able to turn it around and beat him as well. So he ended up in third. Yeah, anyway, story time over. This bot's main focus is to build a lot of battlecruisers. Everything is created from scratch using Java and its Starcraft S02 interface. Yeah, so remember how I said like Python is really good to get started and Sharpie SE2 does a lot of the heavy lifting for you? None of that is true with Java. My own bot is Java as well. You're kind of building everything from scratch. The nice thing is with that is you get to build the fun stuff yourself, where some of the fun stuff is pre-built for you in Sharpie SE2. The other thing is your bot's less predictable. Since you're building it yourself, your units will micro a little bit different. Things are, you see different Sharpie bots and they'll all kind of look the same and kind of act the same to a certain degree. But with Java bots, everything is super unique. And now saves game results and use that info to decide which build order to use. Okay, cool. So this is written by Blazier. And yeah, let's, did I load up that game? No, I did not. Let's hop into the match. Get that sucker loaded. Oh no. Okay. I'm hoping I wasn't on this view for the entire previous match. I have a feeling I didn't switch scenes to this. I must have. Okay. I don't think I have to throw out this video, please. But speaking of which, we are about 44 minutes in, so we're going to call this the last video of this series, or of this last game of this video. And anyways, let's get into it. Let's switch views to this sucker. Get that production tab up. Yeah, I kind of remember doing this. I think we're okay. And you get going. You're right. So spawning in the top left, we have the challenger. It is BenBot BC. Meanwhile, spawning in the top right is Prism Beams, who never has any surprise on what he's going to do. He is a one-hit wonder, but it is a wonder because proxy void rays are pretty strong. There's been some buffs to void rays in general in the recent SC2 well, I guess that was the last balance patch. That balance patch is a long time ago because they've kind of sunset the game, but before they did, they were like, okay, let's just make everyone hate Protoss before we go and give them some super buffs. And even before those buffs, I feel like Proxy Void Ray was always a thing before that and is kind of unexplored, at least from when I was around in the bot scene. Bots have trouble dealing with unique things, and this is a fairly unique cheese where you kind of have to have anti-air and you have to have like brains when it comes to like microing around shield batteries, like when to engage and when not to, and those are things that are very difficult for bots. However, with that said, immediate scouts on the pylon might even lose the probe. Pulling some more. Yeah, probe was down. Sending out another probe, which should arrive just in time because the this. Oh, is he sending it? It would have arrived in time. I think he didn't give up on the idea because there's 3 SCVs actually attacking this pylon 4 now. I'm not sure if this is an intended response by BenBot PC or whether he's just like, there's a pylon in my main base because it's it's pretty close to my main base. Okay, so finally sending out a probe now. Only waited for the Cybercore to finish. It's not going to arrive in time. And even if he sent it out on time, I'm not sure if we would have gotten there. Like, we would have been able to start the Stargate, but then he needs to rebuild the pylons, and it might have gotten a little dicey. With that said, there also is a bunker contain going on for the BenBot PC. So this is probably going to be the last probe he's able to send across the map. And will it know what to do? Again, this is kind of a simplistic bot. Okay, it is smart enough to build the pylon first. I wasn't sure if it would just try to build a Stargate, fail, and not know what to do from there. But these void rays are going to come very late. I actually sent the Marine home. Okay, here comes the Marines. And he gets... Oh, and he's going right up to the pylon. Yeah, he's done. These shield batteries will not finish in time to save the pylon. I doubt there's even logic in it for it to use shield battery energy on a pylon. Interesting decision to pull all the Marines home when you have this bunker across the map. I thought they would be filling that bunker. The only bright news is that he was able to get out another probe. But I suspect this is not going to go well for Prism Beams. Probe gets intercepted. Stargate is down. No Stargate going up at home, which means we just have this single Stalker and continuous attempts to get up this thing. So this is something that BenBot BC does, which really, it's not a good idea, but it works out really well here, is that he has an SCV constantly scouting, like 5 minutes into the game, 10 minutes of the game, he still has this SCV scouting everywhere. No vision, actually. The pylon did finish. Is there a second pylon? There's not at all. So it's still an Artosis pylon here. So many shield batteries with all that stored up resources. And a Void Ray is on the way. Marines do arrive. Pylon getting focused down. No shield battery repair on it. Oh no. I mean, this might have been even enough Marines to kill a pylon through shield battery repair, but what a waste of so many shield batteries. Yikes. Oh, you guys seeing what I'm seeing? Why? Why, Benbot? Why? What happened? Something broke for Benbot. Or he had some bad logic and thought he lost the game and quit that way. Let's see if we can get an idea. This game ends at 6:10. Looks like right as the engineering bay finished. Maybe something to do with that. Maybe it's part of a build order supposed to start something after the engine bay that broke, or maybe trying to build missile turrets. Do not know. Unfortunate. Things are going very well for Benbot there. Nice little cleanup on this. Like, Prism Games was getting nowhere. And you just actually unloaded like 2,000 minerals into a bunch of shield batteries and did nothing. So sad. But officially, that means Prism Beams will move on as our returning champ. Much to the chagrin of everyone, because no one loves a proxy shield battery user. So thank you everyone for tuning in. Let's go take a look at that bracket one more time. We're getting up into the top bots now. So Prism Beams just defeated Benbot PC. Next will be Anibot Spud, which I'm saying wrong, but everyone calls him Spud, so whatever. Spude, maybe? I don't know. And then into like some of the big names. Genji Bots, Fidelina's Mixed Breed, Shark Nice's Whale Mean. Yeah, interesting. So with that, thank you everyone for tuning in, and I'm out of here. Goodbye.